I am going to show you in Azure DevOps how to build a Unity pipeline. Well, first you have to have an Azure DevOps account. You can create one or sign in with an existing account. I'm going to sign in with my own account. So there are a few organizational units here. This is the topmost unit. You want to create a new organization for your projects. I already have one, Manage the Universe. So I'm going to use this one for this demo exercise. I'm going to give you a quick tour of Azure DevOps first. One of the most important things here is the sprint backlog. Here you can view your work items. Another important part is the repository. Here you can manage, create, add, change your repositories. And the major part for this demo, at least, is the pipeline. Here you can view different parts of your pipeline, how they work, what the results are. This is a project of mine with a pipeline currently in it, but it isn't working correctly. So I'm going to delete it and create a new one. So with no pipelines left, I have to create a new pipeline. Let's do this first. So, I'm using the repository of Azure DevOps, and I'm going to create a starter pipeline so I can show you just how the whole process of the pipeline works with the flow in the interface. So here we can see the job is created and immediately queued. So if we watch this job, we see all kind of names here in this job, and those correspond then to the pipeline file. Just for educational purpose, we are going to look at where this comes from in our script, so you can later easily debug the system yourself. So here you see the name of the first step and the second step, and those have those corresponding lines, parts essentially of the pipeline run. The build pipeline triggers every moment we do something on our branch. And I'm going to show you here, the trigger is master. So every time something pushes on the master branch, we create a new build. Here I add a file and commit this file. So the build will trigger because it's wired to trigger on changes on the master branch. And as you see here, another pipeline build has been started. Yay! And so with a proper build in place, we now can change this build to not run on the Azure system, but at our own agent. For this, we go to the organizational settings, and we're going to the agents, the agent pool, and in the default pool, you can add your own agents. This can be a virtual machine, but also a local machine. And for Unity, we are going to use a local machine. I have to add a personal access token. So my computer can authenticate itself to the system and the other way around. So it's not just a system that gets trusted with the data on your pipeline. So I need to copy this key, and with this I can configure my agent. I had downloaded the agent to this folder, and now I have to run the config command. Well, you can look online. There is very good help from Microsoft on this. I'm not going into details how to do this, but I found it very easy to just kickstart it with this. I did it a few times already. So we created the personal access token and copied it. And now we have to start configuring the system. Let's see, where is this line of how we... yeah, there. We have to start the config.cmd. So let's start PowerShell for this. If you have Visual Studio on your system, you probably have Windows PowerShell installed. So I had to authorize admin access. And let's go to this folder where it's installed. And we then have to start this config.cmd. Mind the writing. You have to take care how to write this right. So the URL is the URL for a project. It's also stated in documentation. So we we have to go back and copy this from our URL, this part only. So let's put it here. So, and now we have our, we're going to use this type of access and our token. And yes, I want this as a Windows service. So I can just run it unattended. I have it always running on the background. I never see Unity popping up or something like it. It's really working flawlessly. So this folder here is the folder where everything gets installed. For me, everything worked right from the install. I never had problems with it, but it could be that you have some rights issues, so you can check the folders for where it's installed. Well, as you can see, I think it's okay. It was for me always okay right from the setup seems to do quite a good job of preparing your system. So let's get back. And now we have the agent installed. Let's see. Yes, my agent is there. Well, the thing is, we have to identify the capabilities, and I'm going to say this agent is capable of building my latest Unity projects. I still have 2019, a bit older version. I didn't want to update, but yeah, you get it. It can be any name I pick here. So it has to be without spaces. So, and now with this installed, I can go back to my pipeline and say to my pipeline, well, I want to use this agent. So that's what I'm going to do here. Let's see. Yeah, I want another pull with my agent. Let's save this and see if this is going to run on my machine. Oh yes, build has been triggered. Okay, well, for the first time you have to authorize your the data from the pipeline isn't just going to hand it over to your agent, so you have to authorize it. You have to have admin rights. So admin rights in DevOps, but here it's running on my machine, I think. So if you look at the folder on my machine, the installation folder, it probably is showing some stuff. Yes, as you can see, the one is here, and it says all kinds of mapping and things in here for the agent to run multiple pipelines next to each other. Yeah, it's all just full of stuff already. Yeah, this is our current build running with the different like the source control, the temporary build map, and the push map. So if it's okay, the publish map I meant, it seems to have run quite well. The next thing we have to do is install an extension so we can actually use Unity builds. Well, for this you go to the organization and then you can just get to this extension marketplace and search for the Unity tools. I found this one working always, but that's because I have Unity installed on my machine already, so I don't have all the messing with the serial numbers and such. I'm working from this machine myself, so while we wait for this plugin to install, okay, well, that was quickly done. So now we can go back to yes, it's all installed. Now we can go back to our pipeline and add this new step to our build. For this, we can use the side menu. You can change the code by hand, but it's more easy to just find the right item and just insert it with the right properties. Well, let me think. I did this one wrong. Okay, just redo this. Okay, the right type of build, Windows build, not standalone. Yeah, okay, the path will be automatically found. No need for a change for that. Okay. Yeah. We have to use the right name of the folder. That's very important. You have to use the name from the start of the repository. So for me, that's like 2 folders down there. If you don't do this right, it comes with all kind of strange messages of project version not found. So in this output file name is just your game name. You have the option to change a lot of this later on, but this is just easy starting version. So okay, if we save this, this should start a Unity build right now. Okay, well, it triggered and it's cute. Okay, so, but the thing is, this is going to take a long time. This is the thing with Unity and Azure DevOps. Every time you get an updated folder where the new source control is downloaded, and your library has to be built up again. So this will take a long time to build, approximately just like for simple projects is this like 10 minutes, because but it could be done in like 20 seconds. But yeah, as you can see here, it's just building up this whole library, and that's taking up most of the time of your build process right now. So we're going to fix that. But first, let's wait for this build to complete so we know everything is in the right order. Let's speed this up. Okay, so everything is working. Yes, that looks good. Very good. Okay, so with everything in place and running correctly, we can start going to the next step. This next step is to use the full potential of our local build. And that's going for us to be to copy a few files to a folder on the build server that isn't going to get wiped. And because this is our own server, we are in control of it, so it won't get wiped or cleaned ever. That's good, and it could be bad because it could be stuff remains that you don't want to remain. So you have to take care both ways. But yeah, just copy some stuff. Let's see if we save this, how this will work. The script files of this will be available on my website. I'll link it down in the description of this video. But let's look at this build running. It won't be the first run this will work, because the first run it will copy at the end of the first run the library to a folder. So that's what we just added. And the next run, it's after this run, the next run after this run, it will use this copied library to speed up the process. But yeah, like this time we have to wait again a long time. Let's speed this up. Yeah, okay, magic of time, it's fixed. So if you look over at the folders, we can now see we have yeah, here's the library folder. We have a very messy binary folder here. Okay, so we have to clean that up. Just stuff everything in folders. It will be easier to track stuff. And as I said, stuff won't be just magically cleaned up because it is a local server. So let's change our build to go to a folder also. So this will clean up the stuff, and then you have your library folder there and the build folder. So just run this one again. So this build should be faster because of our optimization we just did. For it, well, maybe some files have to be rewritten, but yeah, okay, like magic, it works. Okay, so our next thing on the list is to clean up stuff a bit. We still have this build folder where a few files reside that we don't want there. Yeah, well, you have like this build folder already created, so we can remove the other stuff. And we want to publish the results of this build, so we can work on this further in other steps in Azure DevOps. Azure DevOps has the availability to chain up stuff, and I want to make use of that chaining. You could do this you could do publication and uploading all on this script here, but I want to make different parts of this. So we are going to search for the publish task. And with this publish task, we can create an artifact that later processes will be able to read from and access the files you created in this build. If you don't use a publish build artifact, you won't be able to use this these results in the build. Or if you just publish specific folders, you can't access the others folder. So you have to be sure you publish the right stuff if you need something down the line. So I have to make sure all my output paths are correct. So I publish my build. And with this set up correctly, I can now save this build and it will run automatically and create this artifact for me. So again, if you are going to do something else, you will going to have issues if you don't create a publish, because it then looks like, there is nothing available from your pipeline, but well, it's running, so well, you probably forgot your publish task. So with that being done, we have to go to releases. Well, as I said, you don't have to create a release, but I like this because it has like a visual part to it that just, well, you can show it to people that aren't so technical. So, and that's where lots of CI/CD comes into play. It's you have to unite all people in your team and across different disciplines to use this stuff. So that's why I want to do the release part specifically with this. Well, I want to continuous deployment, of course. I want a filter, so only master builds will trigger this deployment. And then I can just use stages like alpha release, beta release, and well, if some people just say, well, it's okay, it was good, it can just progress from alpha to beta release automatically through stages and approval of these stages. and that's what this whole system is for. I had a few difficulties, however, with creating this demo, this tutorial. So a few things of this task don't align up, so like the name has changed currently. Okay, so I am going to add an Azure file copy. And for this, I need a few things. I need, of course, an Azure resource. I need a connection from Azure DevOps to Azure to be able to use the resources and have access to them. Well, first things first, we first have to select what to upload to this file, to this blob store. And I'm going to just send my executable. I know this isn't going to work, but we'll create the setup later on. So we have to create this blob. I'm going to show you how to create a blob. I know Azure is a very, very large system. Like AWS, it has all kinds of stuff in it. So a blob store is just like a very, very cheap way of storing information. You pay only for the availability of your place, the amount of data it takes to store it, and access to it, or indexation of or all the stuff you do to it. So just create a storage account. Under the storage account, we then can create this blob. But well, yeah, let's use something I like. Well, I'm going to use this for my alpha. The thing is, it shouldn't be that smart for me for showing you this all, because you can download from my blob this way, but well, for the demo purpose, I don't think I will keep this one, but who knows, maybe free publicity for my game. Okay, so the thing is, you have to watch out, be careful with Azure, and the default things are just geared for normal payments, and those are very expensive. So you have to create the right resources to just pay minimal amounts, because you just really don't need that much. And you have to have quite a lot of background knowledge on to make sense of these all these options, and how does this affect my performance, or latency, or pricing, or availability, redundancy, CDN-like stuff, like from one part of the world is fast and other part of the world is not fast. So, well, if you don't know that stuff, don't go too deep in it, and just use the cheapest options available. So, okay, all this should be good. Well, I did a few of these Azure projects, Azure portal usage projects already. Few years now, actually, so I know a few of these systems. The thing is, these change over time a lot. So I joined this when they started, and things have massively changed over time, become massively complex also over time. So with my storage account being deployed, we are now able to use this account, and we can go back. Like I said, it's very complex. Under my resource groups, I put it under my I think this one, here, Manage the Universe Alpha, there is my storage account. Okay, so now we have to get back to our DevOps and get this connection activated. Okay, well, it didn't work for me directly. So I tried a few times, restart my browser, and eventually it worked. So that's okay. Yeah. Let's see. And stuff is authenticating. Well, you could do this by hand, but that's quite a chore. So it's much more easy if this just automatically works, and it does work. Yay! Okay, so now we upload to the Azure Blob, and we're going to use a container name. Well, you don't have to, but you do have to use container name, but you could like use this alpha beta thing in the container names, or you could use different storage accounts, whatever you wish. I just do this, and maybe later on I change this. I don't know. I want to have some place to have my executables, my setups, so I can just mail people and say, well, check out this link. So that's what this is just for. Okay, let's save this. And this won't trigger automatically. This will only trigger if we do it manually or after the build is completed. So with this manual trigger running, you can see it will start uploading to the Azure Blob Store in a few seconds. It will, yeah, it didn't work. Okay. Okay, this was a stupid problem. Let's continue with the setup first. I will come back to this later, and with the magic of video editing have solved this problem. So I'm going to use Inno Setup. I have prepared a few files. These are already in my repository. So I'm going to access these files. Later on I will well, show you how these files work together with Inno Setup. And on my website there is also an explanation and the actual content of these files. So as you can see here, there is this installer folder, and there is this well, a few files in here, helper files, and the Inno Setup files. Well, this is very easy to obtain. You can go to Inno Setup and just download it from there. And you want to install it unattended, or the well, just the install without installing, let's say it. So you get this directory, or you can just copy it from if it just gets installed on your local machine. And you can then use the file. You can just use a normal setup from Inno Setup, and then access this, yeah, like here, you can create one. Or I did just already created one, and well, there's a wizard for it. So if this looks like magic, it is magic, but also very easy to understand. If you just use it a few times, you'll see it's just like, well, default batch work. So all these things work together. All these well, these files. This script is just like launching Inno Setup, and well, this is this executable that you can call for an unattended setup build of your setup. And if you look in this setup file, you can see all these properties, and these properties correspond with, well, the parameters of this batch file, and the parameters of the batch files are filled from our pipeline. So that's the magic. Let's see how our compile works. For blazing fast build, we can just quickly create a new setup, And let's look into our folders. Here is the build. And there is our setup. Yes, let's run the setup. Let's see what will happen. Okay. Yeah, just launch the game, please. Oh, made with Unity. Okay. Yes, the demo scene, it's working. So now we know this is working, we have to upload this specific file. Okay, but first let's see if we can fix this issue. Okay, there was this right accessment role stuff thing. It seems like if you upload from an external source, you have to, it's not enough to be just the creator of everything. No, you have to have this specific role. Okay, so when I added this role and waited a few minutes, like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, this upload thing magically worked. One other thing, I did not change the setup file to be uploaded. I uploaded only the executable. So that's still not changed, but well, somewhere in the video editing, I lost that part. So yes, I did change that in my release. So this release agent, as you can see, will just use this a newly created setup and push it to my blob. As you can see here, I can find my CDN name and then use this name to my blob name. Just, yeah, you can find it there, and then you can use this name to get to your file. Well, the PC, what did I call it? Let's see, the PC setup folder is that, yeah, with setup x in it. Okay, so if we type this in, it will start downloading. And on my fast internet line, yay, it's like downloaded in seconds, 25 MB, so whatever. Okay, so we can just run this. I think I have to attach a certificate to that. Okay, so, and we can run it also, and this installer will just install it again, and voila, here it is again. And please leave a comment, like, share, and see you next time.